Welcome to Issued for Construction. I'm your host, Jonathan Jacobs. And today I've got with me not one, not two, but three gentlemen, the founders of a practice that some of you may or may not know. And if you don't know it, well, then you've been sleeping under a rock, because their business is called DesignAgency. Today I've got with me Alan Chan, Anwar Mekhayech, and I've got Matt Davis. Gentlemen, thank you for joining today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Thank you for bearing with me as I make mistakes on names and then re-record.
Love this system.
One, thanks for taking the time to do this, because I know with three of you and running a studio that has worked globally, it takes a lot to be able to come together and take time away from managing your team. So thanks for doing this.
Our pleasure. This is exciting.
Right. So those that are listening, if you've never been on this, just so you know, like I edit this on the fly, so I talk to my editor throughout it all. So everyone here feels at ease because they can say whatever they want. And they know that it might not make it in. With that said, I will open it to any of you that want to go, and I'm not gonna call you out in order. So whoever wants to start off, I will ask this question, and that is, where were you born, and what was life like for you with your family, siblings, parents? What did they do? How did they influence you? What were your after school activities? Were you on the chess club? I'll kind of leave it there. You take it however far you want with the answer. So who wants to go first?
No, Matt, go first.
I got nominated to go first. All right.
There you go, Matt.
Yeah, it's a great question. Obviously, I was born here in Ontario, just outside of Toronto, in a small rural community called Mount Zion.
Okay.
It was a great kind of community focus. Brought up in like a farmland on a party line with our neighbor kind of upbringing. We had a nice 12-acre hobby farm with every manner of animal that you could imagine.
So it smelled real fresh.
Yeah. I mean, I was a free range kid. I was running around all over the place.
That kind of grounded, hands-on childhood, the farm animals, the greenhouses, driving tractors before you see over the wheel, it's the kind of upbringing that makes you care about the home you eventually build for your own family, which is a good place to talk to you about Kaplan's Appliances, because Kaplan's has been a family-owned business in Toronto, Ontario, Canada for over 80 years. And the person running it today, Rob, actually grew up inside that store. He didn't just inherit a title, he grew up around the counters and the showroom floor before eventually taking over the business himself. And you can feel that when you walk in. It's not a corporate appliance retailer. It's a family that has been doing this for generations. Their main showroom sits at Weston and Eglinton, and it's really 3 stores in one. There's the main showroom with all of the brands you would expect: Sub-Zero, Wolf, La Cornue, Jenner, Fisher & Paykel, Monogram, DCS, everything you can imagine. They also have the Miele Gallery, which is one of the largest Miele showrooms in the world outside of Miele's own corporate galleries. It's got a live kitchen with a full-time chef who actually cooks food for you on the appliances you're considering before you buy them. If you're in the middle of a build or renovation and you're planning and you're starting down an appliance package as a part of the overall plan, well, go talk to Rob and his team lead, Janine, who looks after the A&D industry. All their contact information is in the liner notes for this episode. Or you can email me directly. It's Jonathan, Jonathan, at issuedforconstruction.ca, and I'll introduce you to them. And if this episode is doing something for you, take 15 seconds and leave the show a 5-star review. And you can also give us a follow on Instagram. It genuinely helps more people find the conversations. All right, back to Matt, Alan, and Anwar.
Then my parents, my dad owned a company which was a technical placement agency. So he used to be, which is affectionately known as a headhunter.
Yep.
So he would be recruiting for engineers, architects, and all kinds of different professional trades, and we'll get back to that in a little bit.
Sure.
My mom was did a whole manner of different jobs over her life. She was a nurse. She was a school teacher. When I was born, she was a stay-at-home mom, and she kind of raised us on this hobby farm, which was, tons of fun. The farm itself became a little bit of a playground.
Yep.
Every year we were ripping up areas and doing, different vegetable gardens or, moving structures around. I remember building greenhouses, and
You were on the tools as a kid?
I was running the tools. I was driving all the equipment. I was having fun with, really experimenting on the property.
Could you reach on a tractor? Could you reach the pedals?
Yeah, when I got old, when I was about 8 years old or maybe 5 years old, I was on the small tractor, and when I was about 10 years old, I was driving the big ones around and
Wow.
going out through the orchards and stuff like that. It was really a great experience. And I think on top of like having that free range childhood, the community itself was like really nurturing. My best friends, I guess that for whatever reason, all the farms around had kids around the same time. So all the farms had kids my age. So we used to bike a mile or a kilometer to each house and like hang out. So it was a great community upbringing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And siblings?
Yeah, I have a brother and a sister, both younger. I'm the oldest. My brother now lives in Prince Edward County, and he is a consultant right now who does kind of agile consulting. And my sister is a teacher and a vice principal now, but worked for a long time in Africa as a teacher and a principal, and eventually made her way back home. So she's now just outside of Toronto, a little bit on the West End.
So you've all followed in some capacity the path of your parents.
A little bit, yeah. It was interesting. Yeah, definitely. My father had an influence on me. I worked for one summer at his office, and I'll never forget. Like all the engineers would come in, and I would have to call. Like I was maybe 15, 16 years old, and I would have to call people and try to recruit them. Like, hey, we've got this offer. You should leave where you're at and come and join this other firm. And I would do that with all these junior engineers and stuff like that. But I'll never forget the day that I was sitting there, and my dad was like, "Okay, everyone, get ready. You got to clean up the office." He was getting everyone looking professional. And he was like, "What's happening?" And he's like, "We have an architect coming in today." We have an architect, which was like a rare commodity back in the 80s. Like they were sought after like gods. And I was like, architect. That's an interesting profession.
Did you ask him like, well, what is it? What's an architect?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I remember I took CAD courses and stuff in school. And I remember being so proud of my CAD drawing and sending it into him. Like, you can hang this on the wall and show all the architects. He's like,
maybe not.
I don't know about that. I
want to retain the clients.
Yeah, exactly. And that's not going to be a benchmark. But yeah. It definitely made a huge impression. I did ask afterwards. And I think that to some degree set a little bit of the trajectory of my life and where I went.
Yeah.
So after high school, growing up in Pickering High School and kind of leaning a little bit more towards the arts and thinking I wanted to be like this architect, I applied to a variety of universities, didn't get into any of the architecture schools, but did get into landscape architecture at U of T.
Okay.
So then studied a professional degree at the time, which was 5 years, a professional degree for a bachelor's of landscape architecture.
Interesting.
And that's where I met Al. But that's a story for later on, probably in this conversation.
Yeah. We'll get there. Hold on. But there's a few things you've kind of glazed over, and I want to go back to them before I move on. What about like interests and hobbies and stuff? Like what else were you into? What were you doing with your free time when you weren't
when I wasn't free ranging on the farm? Like running around.
Yeah.
Yeah, growing up, I have a variety of different sporting influences. Like I was into hockey, I was into golfing and baseball and football and rugby and pretty much every sport you could play. There was a period where, I was a little bit of a late bloomer, so I didn't grow. Everyone else around me started growing, and I didn't grow until like grade 11. So I kind of started dropping off of some of these full contact sports like hockey, and I really took up skiing and became a ski instructor and got really passionate about skiing.
Did you ever get on any trips?
Oh, tons. Like I try to go on a trip every year. It's still, even with my family up till recently, we would go skiing every weekend. My kids were on the race team.
Yep.
We really embrace the ski culture. It ties into some projects we're doing right now too, but that became one of my big passions. And then university was an amazing turning point. So again, coming from a small rural community, going to a little bit more of a suburban high school in Pickering, and then going downtown. My dad had a practice downtown, so I had spent a little bit of time in Toronto. But coming into Toronto and then kind of I moved downtown, that set everything on a whole different path. It's like exploring and learning new music, new culture, new just all the different scenes that were here. Like the culture, like in terms of not I want to say galleries, but I wasn't going to galleries. I was going to bars and clubs and nightclubs and all those fun things.
The nightclub scene in Toronto back then was incredible, right? Yeah. Incredible. Much music was
huge,
something.
Huge influence. Right? Yeah. So, I mean, to be truthful, I totally embraced that kind of bar and culture. I mean, again, this is a story that will probably dovetail into some of Al's stories where we at university used to run a cafe, and then we used to host all the big, year-end parties, of which Alan almost got expelled for. But again, I'll let you tell that as part of your story. That's the story, yeah.
It's a choose your own adventure book.
Yeah, and then
quite often.
Yeah, and it did lead to actually working in restaurants, and I mean, I'd worked in restaurants even when I was in high school. So I'd worked from restaurants all the way through, I worked at Anwar's father's restaurant, which is how I met Anwar. So there's a lot of connections through the hospitality scene back in the day.
Okay, all right. Anwar, I feel like I got to skip over you because of...
I was thinking the same thing. Yeah. You kind of just introduced how they met in university. We can go chronologically here, right? So I'm just taking this all in because I don't know all this stuff about Matt. I'm like learning this for the first time.
This is what happens on here, okay?
Right?
I bring partners
I've known him for 30 years, and it's
I keep some of this stuff locked away.
We knew he was free range.
So you think that when he's going away for like a sabbatical and like going to like a spa retreat, he's actually just going to move dirt and play with pigs?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I can go next. I mean,
go for it.
Where to start? I guess I was born in Hong Kong.
Okay.
My family immigrated here when I was a young age of 2, I suppose.
What made them leave?
Well, opportunity, like most immigrants, right? In that time, my father, at the time, he was a cab driver in Hong Kong. And so, wanted a better life for his kids.
Yep.
And so I have a brother and a sister, 6 and 7 years older. Brother 7, sister 6. And so we came here, and the typical immigrant story. We moved. I think we landed in Scarborough or something like that. If I have to be honest, it was a weird place.
Why?
Well, it was just like my parents were working like 12, 14 hours a day,
right?
And so my brother and sister were taking care of me. So I kind of spent a lot of time with them, and grew up not speaking a lot of Chinese because my brother and sister were learning English. So my Chinese, unfortunately, is not very good, but I can get by.
Is that a point of contention with your parents?
Well, not my parents. I think they've come to accept the fact that I'm the sort of black sheep of the family and not able to really speak to them in a clear way. But I think it's fine. I think they've gotten over it. But yeah, so grew up in a household where primarily my brother and sister raised me.
Yeah,
for a good part of my life. I spent a lot of time drawing. Drawing was something I loved. And
what were you drawing?
I was drawing stupid shit. I was drawing
like?
Okay, so there was a TV show in the 80s called Battlestar Galactica. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Of course. Then didn't they do a remake of it?
They did a really
2000s?
terrible remake.
Yeah.
So I was obsessed with that show.
Yeah.
And so I would draw just like dogfight battle scenes with these these spaceships and all that stuff. And it just kept on going. And, I always loved drawing and, sort of making stuff. And
was it 2D or 3D?
It was 2D, man.
Okay.
Well, axonometric, I guess. Partially 3D, but it was, nobody in my family was creative.
Yeah.
Didn't grow up in that household. My brother went to engineering. My sister went to sales. Ended up, in high school. It's a funny time in high school. I was a big skateboarder, so I was a huge skateboarder and spent most of my time doing that.
Do you know who else I spoke to not long ago that was massive into skateboarding? Was Jonathan Sabine.
Oh, okay.
From MSDS Studio.
Okay. Yeah.
Huge skater growing up.
Yeah, I still have some of my old skateboards in my garage.
Okay.
I just dug them up at my parents' place. It's pretty funny. And then, in high school, It's funny. I used to hang with this kid, Adrian, in high school, and his dad was an architect.
Okay.
And so one day we went to his office for whatever reason, and I went with him. And I walked in his office. His dad designed like houses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I saw these models, like these like basswood models, and these guys like on drafting tables drawing. I was like, fuck, this is cool.
Yeah.
Like this is pretty cool. Like,
Yeah.
This is something I wouldn't mind doing.
How old were you at the time?
15 maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. So I thought to myself, this would be a great thing to do because, you know, why not? And like Matt, I started taking drafting classes in high school. Little did I know that you needed a portfolio to create a portfolio to get into school for architecture. So when that time came around, I scrambled, applied to a few different schools, didn't get in, decided to go to Waterloo for science, and with the thought that I would apply to architecture at some point and build my portfolio. So it was kind of a gap year for me.
Right.
That kind of fell apart a little bit. Didn't get
science or the
science
the
is
ambition?
fine. It's the portfolio part fell apart because I spent a lot of time in bars and nightclubs in university. So didn't get around to the portfolio as much, but then ended up, you know, applying to landscape architecture. I had a bit of a portfolio. It was a different kind of portfolio. It wasn't really an architectural portfolio.
Okay.
And I got into university for landscape architecture like Matt. I ended up going to Guelph, University of Guelph for the first year.
For landscape architecture?
For landscape architecture.
Yeah.
Were you in school for like 10 years?
Yeah. I'm not, this is only the first year.
Fuck.
And then my second year, I transferred to U of T because I wanted to be closer to home and I wanted to live in a city that wasn't Guelph.
You mean you want to live in a city? At the time you were there, Guelph was like a town.
Guelph was like a farm town, right?
Yeah.
It was like,
Lots of free range people.
Yeah. You might see Matt walking around.
I thought,
He was visiting Liz.
Yeah.
I thought Matt and I should have just switched places. But that's where I met Matt, and you know, we became friends and spent a lot of time at the studio because that's what you do when you're studying that kind of program. We worked in the cafe. You know, I was a drawing TA. Graduated. During school, I met Anwar as well because Matt was working at Anwar's father's restaurant on Harvard Street called, you know, Kensington Kitchen. Shout out to that.
Sorry, what was it called?
Kensington Kitchen.
Kensington Kitchen. Okay.
And so that's when we met, and we all became friends.
And guesstimate, what year is this?
96.
Yeah, 96.
96.
I worked at
96, 97. Yeah.
Okay.
Long story short, graduated from University of Toronto. We started working together. And what will tell you about the project we worked on because it was his project.
But hold on.
You skipped over the almost getting expelled part.
Oh, that part.
I mean,
Okay.
let's
backtrack.
let's hear that, and then hold on. There's like a whole.
And you haven't left Guelph yet.
Yeah.
No, we
Right.
left Guelph. I'm at U of T now.
Yeah.
You're UFT,
You were
okay.
well for a year. I was on the.
We're on track with that.
You missed New York, though.
So we used to have these. That's later. But we used to have these parties that we used to have for fundraising. So fundraising for our trip to go to Europe, study abroad. So we held this massive party.
Keggers.
It was a crazy party.
Took over the studio, the architecture
entire studio.
the building. Yeah.
At University of Toronto, the School of Landscape Architecture and Architecture. Got out of hand.
This was non-sanctioned.
Non-sanctioned. Stuff got thrown out the window. The dean was called, and everyone pointed to me as the guy who organized the party. So I got called in to see the provost and the dean the week after. And because of a couple of profs that liked me, I was spared the expulsion.
So can I ask a question?
Sure.
Years later.
You think it was the profs, huh?
I think it was.
It was me.
Was it you?
Yeah. I had to go in and testify for you.
Oh, okay.
I had to go in and testify.
See, it's therapeutic
Yeah.
doing this.
Yeah. They were like, was it Alan? I was like, no, I was there too. And it wasn't his fault. And I clearly pointed the blame on other people. So you got it.
So I graduated.
He lied for you. He took a bullet for you.
Thankfully, graduated from U of T. But I'll fast forward, and then a couple of years later, ended up going to school for architecture at Columbia, doing my master's there.
Okay.
Loved it, had a great time. Still have a lot of friends from Columbia.
What was it like transitioning? Because you went from Scarborough to Guelph to Toronto to New York.
Yeah.
Like you're talking about massive transitions of like culture and livelihood. Like, I mean, I'm surprised you were able to stay in school in Columbia, given
Columbia,
the party scenes like in New York.
Yeah, that was tough as well, but it was a transition. I mean, I wanted to go to grad school, and really the only place I wanted to do grad school was in New York.
Why?
Because it's New York.
Okay. I figured that was the answer. But
Yeah, you know,
I, had
it's
to
like
ask
I
you.
wanted to have that kind of experience and that kind of like be in a place where, you know, all these cultures and experiences were available. And obviously the work is great. And, you know, the school at the time was pretty radical in a lot of senses in terms of architecture. And, you know, we had Bernard Toomey as a dean there, who's, you know, was a really theoretical architect. So really great exposure to some really great people and experiences.
And they also do, from what I recall, and you can correct me on this, don't they also do like amazing walking tours there of like being able to go and see projects in construction?
That's a good question. I graduated in 2001.
Okay, so they weren't
That's
doing
a
it
long
then.
time ago.
Okay.
And here's the final funny part of the story. Not funny, but graduated in 2001. Had some interviews with some architecture firms, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go back home to see what's going on with my friends and, you know, what we started. And then 9/11 happened that September. And so New York kind of just shut down and everything kind of stopped and the world stopped. And I was like, I'm here in Toronto. Let's just focus on
Make a go of it.
working with these guys and make a go of it. And so I never went back.
Crazy. Okay.
So that's the education part of it.
Okay, and I'm gonna go back to some of the stuff I talked about with Matt. Like, what about outside of skateboarding? Like, what else were you interested in? What other core classes in school really like had you interested?
Well, I took the classes that I needed to take. I mean, I took like things like physics and calculus and
Okay,
didn't love it.
but you could do it.
I did pretty well. You know, I did pretty well in those courses. Don't ask me to help my son with math today because I have no idea.
It won't matter for him anyway.
Yeah, it won't matter for him.
AI,
It's just AI.
yeah, he's
What's
going
this?
to prompt it, and it's going to be the answer.
Yeah, no. And yeah, I mean, skateboarding was it's what I did all the time. That's really what I did. I mean, I was in the volleyball team as well at school.
Okay.
You know, I wasn't always a good kid. I did some bad things when I was a kid, you know, at nighttime
You're a
with my
kid.
friends, you know.
Yeah, you're a kid. You're trying
A
to.
little destructive sometimes when I was younger, but we won't go too dark.
I mean,
down that
like
path.
I'll share a story of like some destruction. Like I remember coming back from a bar once in university, and my buddies and I walked past a brand new TTC stop, and we're like, oh, like we should probably just take it.
Oh no.
And so like we went back to his house and like grabbed a ratchet set, and we came back like completely like blackout drunk and just took the stop and like brought it back to his house in university. And like he had like construction signs and everything. There was once a party at the house, and the sign blocking the front door was the McDonald's drive-through sign saying "Come around back," and the cops were the ones that came around back, and like they walked in, and they see like all of these road signs, construction signs. You know,
That was a thing back then,
right?
Yeah.
It was the thing. But
Everybody had signs.
What they weren't expecting was an entire TTC stop inside the house.
That's hilarious.
And the only reason we didn't get arrested was because we had signs all over the place saying if you're too drunk, call a cab, and it was all over the place.
Right.
Anyhow, yeah.
Well, I never got arrested, but for that kind of stuff. So
For clarification, though, you don't have a criminal record. So my partner does not have a
I can
criminal
travel
record.
abroad without being stopped by Interpol.
All right,
Oh my god, that's crazy.
let's kick it, Anwar. Go for it.
I mean, I'm just listening and learning a lot, which is amazing. But what I'm loving is just kind of channeling some of these memories that relate somehow to architecture and design, and which sometimes you don't think about or you forget about, right?
Yep.
But I guess similar story to Alan. Came here as an immigrant, born in Beirut, Lebanon. Hippie parents, moved here when I was also two, via London to Toronto.
Was there a stopover and live in London, or is
Yeah, there was. I think I had my second birthday there or something like that.
memorable?
And my parents met in London,
Oh, really?
which was kind of cool. My dad was like working in restaurants and music and busking, and my mom was modeling or working as an au pair or doing both or something like that. They were super young.
What instruments did your dad play?
Guitar, mostly, yeah. And then we landed, we came to Toronto, came downtown, there's an origination story there too that some kind of relates to the industry because my dad's best friend, also from Lebanon, has a very famous store in Toronto, which is still around, called the Door Store, and that's like architectural curiosities, let's call it.
Yeah.
And so Sam from the Door Store had a big part of like getting my dad to come to Toronto.
Funny enough, Anwar just told a story about a Toronto business called the Door Store, and it happens to be a perfect segue into a company that partners with us here at Issued for Construction, known as The Doors. And The Doors has spent nearly 2 decades as a leader in premium architectural European windows, doors, and curtain walls. They bring all of their product in from Europe, and they work with names that you know. You, the builder, you, the architect, you, the interior designer. Brands like Schuco, Rainers, Aluprof, Aluplast, the kind of caliber that you'd expect from a European company with European engineering. But they're not just a middleman reselling boxes. They run their own cutting operation right here in the GTA, fabricating and finishing those imported systems into the final windows, doors, and curtain walls that actually go on site. That combination is what keeps lead times reasonable without giving up the European hardware and performance standards behind the product. 2 things worth knowing if you're speccing this kind of product on a high design project. First, custom colors are included, not an upcharge. A lot of window and door manufacturers will hit you with premium the moment you step outside the standard finish palette. The Doors doesn't do that. Second, shop drawing revisions aren't capped. If you're going back and forth with an architect or designer to get the detail exactly right, they'll keep revising until it's actually correct. Not until you've used up an allotted number of rounds. On a project where the door and window detail matters as much as anything else in the room, those 2 things make a real difference. Martin and Marta and the team have been great to work with, and if you've got a project that calls for the level of custom glazing or door work, it's worth a conversation. They look at single-family residential, they'll do multiplexes, they'll even consider mid-rise. Commercial projects, depending on scope, it's worth connecting with them, and their details are in the liner notes. If you want a personal introduction, you can email me. It's Jonathan, Jonathan, @issuedforconstruction.ca. And if you're enjoying this conversation with the Design Agency founders, then please leave a 5-star review wherever you're listening, and you can follow us on Instagram. It makes a difference. Now, let's go back to the guys and hear more of what they've got to say.
Same thing, like,
Better life
kind of thing, right? So came with nothing, landed at like Brunswick and Bloor above the old Future Bakery, across the street from Brunswick House.
Yep. The art of recycled beer.
Yes, the art of recycled beer. And just like grew up downtown. My dad started working at the Door Store and was like refinishing old doors around the city and learned how to do stained glass and really got into that world of, architectural revival stuff before he got into like publishing, and then eventually opened a Middle Eastern restaurant on College Street. I grew up kind of Chinatown, U of T, Kensington Market area. So 5 minutes away from here, from the studio. We had like a stained glass studio in our basement. So again, very hands-on when it came to like arts and crafts and making things. Yep. And that was always definitely my passion, as well, drawing and just making stuff, Lego and we traveled a lot.
Hold on.
Yeah.
You just touched on Lego.
I had to say Lego.
Yeah. So anytime anyone ever says anything about Lego, I need to know what kind of Lego builder you were. Were you the Lego builder that liked to follow the instructions and build what was a part of the kit? Or were you the kid that like had everything in one big bin and you'd assemble your own stuff?
Well, all of the above.
Okay.
So it was always do the first build, the first time, right? Then some stuff went into one big bin, or I used to color code them and kind of then free build, right? So then you color code them, and I loved organizing all the pieces by different types of things, and depending on what the sets were from. And Lego back then was also not what Lego is today. No. There was all these affiliates and,
There was a
co-branding and
piece of 4-piece. Yeah, it was like.
Well, no, it's also now. Back then, it was like it would be like a castle.
That's right.
It wasn't based on some marketing scheme with like Star Wars.
Yeah, there was no Avengers and Star Wars and Harry Potter and whatever now it's Ninjago.
Yeah,
it's endless now, but back then it was very raw primary, just like Lego was Lego. There's maybe there was
they had the space
10 colors
Lego guys.
Yes.
With
they had space.
Yeah, there was cowboys.
Yeah, cowboys.
Yeah, it was by theme.
Yeah.
So that was a big one. I collected a ton of Lego.
So the one piece that always drove me insane in Lego was, the little circle, like the individual circle that would be like a light.
Yeah.
And if you had it in a bin, you'd be like, where is it?
Oh,
where is it? And
you can't find it, yeah.
And you can, if the second I describe this, you can think of the sound of it all moving around, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I actually think that is my secret power, my superpower is finding Lego pieces. Because I will not give up. And it's like, I don't know if it's a photographic memory thing or whatever, but I can go through like a huge bin of Lego and kind of remember where all the pieces are and like start looking for pieces and find pieces. And I like never give up. And I actually enjoy it. I find it super zen. I still do it. I have a 10-year-old and he's got 4 drawers under his bed and they're just filled with Lego.
I hear a retirement plan coming up.
Retirement plan? Yeah. Well, I did read an article that a Lego set from I forget what year, I think it was 2007, it was more valuable than gold or something like that. There's when you compare it to like a mineral or a precious metals.
I just watched something about there was some item that some person had in a box, sealed, and he sold, and this guy's got like warehouse. He's sitting on like millions upon millions of dollars.
Yeah, I believe it.
And some other collector came in and just started buying it. He turned into like that guy spent, can't remember what it was. It's like $170,000 on Lego kits.
Oh, easily. Yeah.
That's amazing.
He starts stacking the boxes in his car. I'm like, what? Are you not going to like put a wrap or something between them? It's 170 grand worth of Lego. Anyhow.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The question is, did he build it?
My assumption would be not.
And probably not. He probably kept it in the box.
Keep it in the box. Keep it in the box. If the box stays in pristine condition and stays sealed.
Sell it, collect his item.
Right? Yeah. There's like that's a family fund for the next like 3 generations.
Yeah. Yeah. We have that going with all the Star Wars figurines, but
sorry, we completely went on a.
That's okay. I like the tangent. Yeah. I mean, it was definitely a big passion of mine at the time. But yeah, growing up downtown, Kensington Market was a jam of its own. Yeah. I mean, to be kind of a Kensington kid, but that's what we kind of called it back then. And just growing up downtown and, riding our bikes around and having, just as long as you're home by dark, no cell phones, breaking into construction sites, doing whatever was fun on your BMX bike. I mean, there used to be just down the street here, actually, there used to be, which they would never do now, but a place called like the Adventure Playground where you could drop your kids off, and we used to get dropped off there. And it was just, I think it was at the bottom of Strawn here, and it was like a fenced off area that had, I think, a couple straggly trees in it. And I don't even think you would pay. It was free. And I think people just donated like building materials. And then there was a bunch of like hand tools and power tools. And they just let all these kids like run around and build shit.
with power tools.
And it was insane because we were building forts and playground, and there's no way that would exist now.
Chance.
Right?
No chance.
But it was a real thing. And it was like a day camp or something. And there was just always cool shit going on, I went to a really interesting school in Kensington Market called Kensington Community School. We got, we were very much dialed into the local culture of Toronto at the time. Like you mentioned, much music and things like that. Like these were the days when they were like, filming Sesame Street in the park. And they would come to our school, and it was like I was one of the kids picked to go and be like, oh, you're going to go and like sing with Sheris, Lois, and Bram today and be on Sesame Street. Like there was just like all these cool things happening, and music and arts and culture. And
it was an identity. Like the city had like a really
there was a
strong
really
cultural identity.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it feels a little different now, but back then it felt super, super vibrant.
Yeah.
Right. And we were kids and I remember a lot of it. And in 81, my parents opened a restaurant across from that school. I used to, at lunch, walk across the street with my teachers who were coming over for lunch, and I would like put on an apron and like start making falafels or washing dishes while like my teachers had lunch, and then I would go back to school. So I was like, Alan and I both grew up in the restaurant business. Right. And I love hospitality and cooking, and I learned that all, from my parents and from that restaurant. And eventually it moved up to Harvard Street. So there was a little restaurant row that still exists there today, but it was definitely quite special, or I'd say differently special back in the day, with another famous restaurant called Splendido. But they had, it was a Middle Eastern restaurant, and it was, Moroccan, Lebanese, Israeli, African, like all these different inspirations. At the time, the only other restaurant, if you know it, was Jerusalem.
Yeah.
Which
not the same.
Probably not the same. I mean, I haven't been there in like 30 years or whatever, but I mean, Kensington Kitchen and Jerusalem, I mean, there was no going into the corner store to buy hummus.
Yeah.
It was like, what the hell's hummus? Right?
Literally.
Right. Yeah. So I grew up in that whole kind of hippie world. Like we had a van.
It's like the first, what you were just describing was like the first form of like fusion in some capacity.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. Like
in terms of cuisine and cooking. And yeah, I mean, Toronto has always been that multicultural kind of melting pot of restaurants and food and things. But back then, I mean, you could really be the first.
Yeah. In 81.
Right. Yeah. Sure. So to serve, baba ganoush, like people had no idea, like, so you could really be at the forefront of that. Mm-hmm. And that was special because, I mean, my dad wasn't trained as a cook, and my parents, my mom and my dad, didn't know how to run a restaurant or open a restaurant. They just did it.
Right.
Right. And they did everything by hand and did it themselves. And, and I worked in it, and it was a special time for sure. So that restaurant relates to both the stories with Matt and Alan, because that's how we met. And like they said, Matt used to work at my dad's restaurant, which was, when I was actually at university, I guess you would have been working there, right? Yep. I did, contrary to these guys, I thought about architecture, definitely. And I do remember either watching a TV show or reading an article about how architects made no money. And I was like, okay, we
didn't read that article.
Yeah, they didn't read that article. And I was like, I'm not going to go do that. So I did engineering instead.
Okay.
Almost went to U of T, but I wanted to get out of Toronto. Got into Cornell engineering, didn't go because it was too expensive. Went to Western. Oh. Because I heard it was a lot of fun.
Yes.
And it was. And they had a great, early 90s. Yeah. They had a great business program too. So all my electives could be business. I, very entrepreneurial, used to, not only just wash dishes and learn to cook in the restaurant business, but I used to, do the accounting and do the books and payroll with my dad.
For those unfamiliar, the business school at Western is one of the top business schools in Canada.
Richard Ivey.
Yeah. Just worth stating that. So
So it was a great, and it also, it felt like Western felt like you were going almost to like an American school because they have, they have the Greek system. They have an incredible sports program. I mean, U of T does too, but
not the same.
Beautiful campus, not the same for me because I also grew up at U of T, like running around, like our playground was the U of T campus and riding our bikes through there and the old buildings and all the courtyards and the beautiful architecture. And, even the planetarium, which I was so sad to, see recently that they're tearing down next to the ROM. Like that was just something you did. Like, I must have went to the planetarium, 100 times.
Laser Floyd?
Well, that was later, but literally from like 10 years old to 15 to 20 to, Science Center, all those things, Ontario Place, like we won't even get into all that. But so, yeah, long story short, maybe trying to tie it back to design agency and the restaurant business. I was pretty hardcore into taking over Kensington Kitchen at the time, and an opportunity arose at the graduate house at U of T, and they were offering up the corner lot of this new amazing building that was designed by Morphosis and Stephen Teeple. So Morphosis out of California, and Stephen Teeple, local architect.
I emailed Stephen this morning about doing a podcast with him.
Oh, amazing.
And to do,
we'll ask him about this story I'm about to tell you.
I will.
So,
and the fun thing with it, what I was just describing to him in the email was maybe we do this where the two of us go on our motorcycles and then stop somewhere and record.
oh, nice.
And then
That's a great idea.
keep going. Anyhow,
That's a great idea. No, that's cool.
digress.
So that space became available, and they ran an RFP for food. They were looking for a restaurant or a food operator, because I think there was it Kara or something? Somebody had an exclusivity for food and beverage at U of T for like 100 years or something like that, right? And it was expiring, and there was this lease that came up, and I talked to my dad, and I was like, "Can you lend me some money to kind of kickstart this? And I want to enter my hat in the ring and see if I can win the lease from U of T." Obviously had no clue. I knew the restaurant business, but I had no clue how to design a restaurant or do renderings or enter an RFP or any of that stuff at all. So I knew Matt better than Alan at that time, but Matt was working also at a design company that specialized in restaurants.
Yeah.
This is the way I remember it, Cricket Design.
Yeah.
And so he was doing like restaurant rollouts and he knew how to do this, right? So I was like, okay. And then so my dad lent me some money, talked to Matt, and I was like, I want to win this RFP. I want to open my own restaurant, but why don't we, on the side of this, open a design agency and like create a design firm and enter the award and work on the design, and I can kind of sponge off what and be creative. And we did it together, and obviously he did most of the heavy lifting, and I came up with the idea and the concept, and actually went on an amazing road trip to California because I was checking out restaurants and going to Berkeley, and the whole Alice Waters scene, like the whole culinary scene out west, kind of really inspired me. And I'd spent a lot of time in Paris too, so it was kind of like French bistro meets like healthy California West Coast living in terms of a culinary concept. So we designed a restaurant, pitched the whole panel at U of T, which lucky enough, all the people on the panel were all customers who would come to my dad's restaurant all the time. So they loved us, and they were like, yeah, I mean, we're not going to put a McDonald's there. I think it was at the end of the competition, it was between us and I think Cultures. I don't know if you remember that brand, but there was Cultures I think there's one or two, or maybe it's dead. I don't know, but
should be.
Yeah, no comment. But anyway, so we won the RFP. And then I, got the letter from U of T. And there's another tie-in story to the Dean of Grad School, Dean Maris, who is connected to Naomi Chris, who is our publicist, which we can tell you about later in the story. Chris Communications, who's a big part of the design agency family for the past,
15 years,
almost 15 years, I think.
Yeah.
So her dad was a big supporter at the time. This is before I knew Naomi.
Yeah.
Took the letter down to CIBC at the corner of College and Spadina, and I was like, I need an SBL, give me $250 or whatever it was at the time.
Crazy.
And I got a loan, and we built an amazing restaurant, and got to sit in meetings with Stephen Teeple. And
Hold on a second, because there's an important part of this, I think, that like kind of gets generally kind of glazed over. One of the things that I find so interesting about these stories is, like you just described, you took what you had received as now the ability to open a restaurant, and you walked into a bank and they gave you a loan for $250,000, which at the time is a lot of fucking money, right? And you don't totally know what you're doing, but you know that you're about to go take out a loan for $250,000. Can you at all get into the mindset of what it was like when you realized that you had just been given an opportunity to borrow that kind of money?
I mean, the mindset, yeah. I mean, you're spot on. I mean, it was freaky as shit. I mean, I couldn't have done it without my dad. I mean, he put in a big chunk of change too, and we co-signed together, but I was 25.
About to go start your own business at 25,
right?
Just finished school.
Yeah. Just graduated, running my dad's restaurant, won the RFP, got the money. And yeah, I mean, I think it just, I don't know, it felt very natural at the time. I think thinking back of, in hindsight, it's a little bit more.
Naivety is a great thing.
Yeah, naivety is great. We were very
it dovetails into our entire origin story.
Yeah, totally. That's our business strategy 101. How we founded the company.
Win it, figure it out.
Yeah,
win it and figure it out. But I mean, this was also a time when, and this again parlays into the origination story too, because Matt told me about Alan, and Alan was doing his master's.
Yep.
And they were already working on some projects and had designed like the bar for my dad at the restaurant. So there's already things in motion, and we were living in, this was the late 90s. So, a couple years after Wallpaper had been founded, basically, right, by Tyler Brule.
It's okay. 1 minute.
And we were living in that world of everything is design. Late 90s, kind of when we won the RFP to open the restaurant. The restaurant, I should probably say, the restaurant was called Spaha. Acronym for Spaha, acronym for Spadina and Harvard.
Okay.
Right. I guess inspired by Soho, and I don't know where the hell, our first branding project, right? Because we did all the branding ourselves too. And, just like the world of design back then, like everything was really hyper design focused, maybe a little bit, minimalist. I'm trying to think of the Apple design trajectory, but that was all happening too, like Wallpaper and stuff. So, and we actually managed to somehow get published in Wallpaper through a connection of Alan's, and shout out to Pablo Duritis. But Matt mentioned Alan and said that they had been working together and he'd be a great partner to join
this agency,
the two of us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they had a name already in place. They were using Precipice Studios, which was the name of their studio. So we kind of went with that, working out of Matt's apartment in the East End at Carlaw. And we kind of just did it. Like I got heavy into, I wasn't making money from design, so I was making money from restaurants.
Which is also crazy, by the way. I mean, for anyone listening, you can appreciate the fact that like being a restaurateur is not the easiest thing in the world. Like you're
far from it.
Yeah,
you were running 2 restaurants.
You're like
I was running 2 at the time. Like it was.
Your margins aren't on food. Your margins are largely on beverage most of the time, and so you better.
But
there was a lot going on.
I think we still have like a big tab at Spaha. We ran up a pretty big tab there, if I recall.
I mean, it was great. I mean, what better vehicle to use to launch a company?
Totally.
Than
an immersive one,
an immersive environment that we own.
Yeah.
That was, and this was not like a small cafe. I mean, this was a big restaurant project. We had over 100 seats on the main floor, huge wraparound patio.
Crazy. 100 seats in a huge wraparound patio. That's the kind of space that makes you think about what a great outdoor build can do for a business or for your own backyard, which is where I want to bring in Aquanta Pools, because Aquanta is the official Ontario distributor of biodesign pools. A pool technology out of Italy that's a genuine departure from the standard concrete or vinyl liner pool most of us picture. These are built to look and feel like a natural sandy beach or a quiet pond, utilizing Italian quartz sand and durable EPDM membrane construction, but with all the modern comfort you'd want: filtration, heating, lighting, the whole system. And because of how the installation process works, a lot of projects are done in as little of a couple weeks. Yuri and his team have built their reputation on treating a pool the way this podcast treats a building, as a real design project, not just a hole in the ground with water in it. Every install is customized to the shape of the yard and the way the client actually wants to use the space. If you're a builder an architect, a designer, a landscape architect, or a homeowner thinking about a backyard project for next season, get in touch with Yuri and the team at Aquanta. Everything you need is in their liner notes for this episode. If you want a personal touch, email me and I'll connect you with him. My email address is Jonathan, Jonathan, at issuedforconstruction.ca. And as always, if you're getting something out of these conversations, please leave a 5-star review and give us a follow on Instagram. Now, back to the guys.
We had a bar and lounge in the basement with like another 30 or 40 seats. We would do live music. We were open 7 days a week. We had DJ brunches with Jojo Flores. Like he played a brunch before he played anywhere else in Toronto. Like we were ripping it. Like it was so much fun. And we met a lot of people we know in the design world. Today we know from Spaha too, because there was 2 restaurants in Toronto that were designed forward, which was Kubo and Spaha, and a lot of.
We can't forget Bar Italia. Bar Italia was.
Yeah,
Bar Italia was. Yeah. Well, Ralph and that whole thing. That was before us, and that was like an older generation, right? I'm talking about like our generation was. I used to go to Bar Italia with my dad. Right.
As you're describing, it's just worth stating because this is again non-visual. So as Anwar's going and telling the story, Matt's over on the side right now, like nodding and giving like a little bit of a smile as he's starting to remember some of the visuals of what this place was like and the experience.
Well, the funny thing is, I mean, Anwar had the restaurants, and you said you didn't make any money from design at the time, but either did we. There was no money being made in design.
Well, all the fees did go to you. Actually, they paid your rent.
Yeah, for the time that
I still have the invoices from you to me.
Yeah. But it is funny at that, like when we did kick it off, and I think we touched a little bit on it beforehand. There was zero plan. Like it was naivete. It was like this project was a great kickoff. Yeah. But we tried to lean into the things we knew, the restaurants, the nightclubs, the bars, but it was a slow burn. And there was even I think like 3 or 4 years in, we had been winning projects, but we weren't getting paid. I'll never forget the time that we had to. Oh boy! You want to tell the story?
Go into that one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, we had, this is.
You have to say who it was.
No. Well, fast forward a couple of years and we can come back. But there was a moment like early in the days where, without a complete plan or, you're kind of hunting projects. We had won through wallpaper, we had won a pretty cool RFP, but we were working on it. I think we had one staff member at the time, maybe 2.
Yeah, I think it was just mostly you and I doing production.
Yeah, maybe it was just you and I. But there was a period where we just hadn't received any incoming money, and both Al and I were like, "Oh,
you had sent out invoices, but they just weren't getting."
Yeah, we had sent out invoices. Our tab,
I paid my invoice. Though,
yeah.
Just so you know.
Our tap at Spaha had almost reached its maximum too, but
it was endless. The tap at Spaha.
But we had a studio on Wolseley, and we went down every day. We would go down for lunch, and we went down to our local pizza place, and we were like, okay, let's get a slice of pizza. I don't know what I have. It's like, I'll get a slice. We went to pay for it, and I'm like, it was like $3, and it was like, bing, nothing happened. I was like, oh, Al, you have this? He went, bing. Nothing happened. Like,
with your bank cards?
Our bank cards both of our bank accounts were drained, and the guy just looked at us. He's like,
"You're in arrears."
He's like, "Take the slice, lads."
He's like, don't worry about it, man.
We've been there, yeah.
Take it.
I think
that was our local.
That was a low
pizza.
Yeah,
that was
a low spot. You were gonna say
low spot.
Yeah,
low spot for some time. Actually, that was really depressing. Not having any money to buy a pizza slice, and then having it given to you by the local pizza guy.
So
the check came in a couple days later, but it was
So I think that this is also like a really important part of like understanding that what it is to run a practice. Like there are going to be some massive lows that you hit when you were starting out. And whether you have a plan or not, like the world's going to tell you whether your plan is going to work or not, and it's going to tell you pretty quickly. What were some of the first projects that you had? And it doesn't need to necessarily be specifics of like who the clients were, but when you were answering to some of these RFPs that existed, or you had friends that were sending you an opportunity, what were the projects like? And 2, and I find this actually to be potentially more interesting, how did you establish what your fees would look like on projects?
So That's an interesting question because, Matt and I both worked at Cricket. I actually worked there first, and then I got him a job there when he came back from Vancouver. I was there for a year. I think you were there for about a year and a half. So we really didn't know anything about the business of design.
Right.
Like nothing.
Interior design. Yeah, we studied landscape architecture and architecture.
We never saw a contract. We didn't know what contracts looked like.
Right.
So it was one of these, just like finger in the air, kind of like, test the wind.
Like we think we're going to spend X amount of hours on this. Like what's our time worth?
That was like, what can we charge to get by for the next 6 months?
Oh, interesting. Okay.
That kind of thing. And it was pretty fly by the seat of our pants for a long time.
And what people are willing to pay. And like there was, and there was we had some references.
I was going to say, did you have?
We had some references back in the day. Like
any mentors?
Just this project.
Any mentors that would like you could run ideas past in terms of like?
There were a lot of mentors along the way, but not at that point. Not ones that we were working with that could have given us like business advice. Like we never. I think later after the first 10 years, then we started knowing more. A decade later,
figuring it out, right?
We were still we're still figuring it out today. But I mean, it was all referrals back then. It was friends. It was like Matt said, the industry, like so nightclubs, restaurants.
I remember the first project we got outside of Canada. Was that one? It was a car wash.
A car wash
in Atlanta, Georgia. Even though car culture is huge there, right?
Yeah, but how would they?
So this guy found us through the wallpaper article.
Come on,
because I think it was the heading was top designers and architects to watch out for, and so he found us.
Yeah, it was in the design directory. Yeah, we were on the list.
Spaha that had got us.
Yeah, it was Spaha that was in the picture of Spaha,
and we were the only Canadian firm listed in wallpaper.
Yeah,
crazy.
And that was big.
Yeah, he reached out to us and like I'm trying to do this really cool. At the time, I think he was working with Wink Media, which is also Tyler Brulé's company, to rebrand or create this brand.
Yeah, he was
car wash brand. It's no longer around, so I won't mention its name. But that was an interesting process and project. Client was interesting. It never got built, but we were so excited. I think Matt and I went down to like Georgia. We're like, great, we're gonna have a project outside of Canada. Super excited to travel at the time, and whatever happened, that the project never was realized. But that was kind of an interesting moment for us.
I think
getting outside of Canada.
You sparked a memory. I can't remember where it falls in the timeline, but again, you mentioned Pablo Doritas, and we can't underplay like he's a childhood friend of Al's. A hospitality guy through and through. Did a good stint at Wallpaper Magazine. Mm-hmm. Partially why we were able to reach out and get some of these, like get Spaha. That's how we were able to get in front of him, get published. But early on, I mean, I think we had a penthouse we got, and we got a small project. But very early on, Tyler Brulé, probably through Pablo, hired us to do his New York office for Wallpaper Magazine, his bureau, and like. I think Pablo was going to open an office in New York. That's what it was.
Sorry, you did Wallpaper Magazine's office
in New York. In New York, it sounds amazingly glamorous, but it was like
early on.
It was huge.
Lafayette, I think.
Sure.
Yeah. On Lafayette or Broadway.
Broadway.
And
wild.
So that actually, I can't remember where that falls in timeline, but I think it's pretty early on. Because I remember flying over to London for the first time ever and meeting.
I think Tyler it was after Skywash.
I think it was before.
I think it was before.
I think I was still in school.
I believe you were still in school when that happened.
Maybe that was the first out of Canada.
We're trying to piece this together.
Somebody has.
Welcome to Issued for Construction.
But that was a huge moment. Again, where we got exposure to Tyler Brulé. His wallpaper office in London was phenomenally ahead of its time. Really well designed. They had a chef come in every day and cook for the team, and they were writing about all kinds of different lifestyle projects in the office. Really reflected that. Like it was an embodiment of the lifestyle of wallpaper, like of a wallpaper editor. And they wanted to capture in a minor way some of that element in New York. But New York's studio office was a little bit more of a bureau, a little bit more bootstrapped.
It's called satellite office.
Yeah.
In every sense of the term. But it was like, again, it was one of these projects that we worked on and had a lot of great fun with it. I mean, again, our friend was like, a huge supporter, still is. But it kind of goes back to, I think our overall ethos is like, at the time, we're just do whatever we need to do to get things done. Get our ideas out there and like, think differently than everything else and like really try to push the boundaries of whatever project it was, like whether it was penthouse or this, car wash or, wallpaper office. We leaned heavily into it and spent way too much time on these projects. I mean, like, which, undeservedly so. But it was what we loved. And we loved pouring our energy and time into it.
It was just the three of you starting off. How many years in was it before you realized that you needed to have support?
I remember sitting and doing our first interview at Spaha with,
how many years in was it though?
Yeah, that was
early 2000s, like
probably 2 years into it. I think we decided we needed some support.
And was the support for the design side, or was it for some of the operational stuff? Or
design.
Design.
Yeah.
Operations. Okay. What was that? I mean, we didn't
Well,
know what operations. That's
why I'm asking.
I don't even think we filed taxes for the first 8 years.
Taxes for like 10 years.
we did that ourselves for for decades.
I guess the other question I wanted to ask was why the term design agency? With the term, why the name design agency?
Well, that evolved later in the story. So like I just mentioned, Precipice Studios was the first name. So that was a working company that these guys had on the go.
Presswood Studios?
Precipice.
Oh, Precipice.
Exactly why we changed the name.
Nobody could remember it. Nobody could spell it.
You said it so quickly. I could.
Precipice Studios.
Okay,
and we had a .net URL.
Oh, yeah.
It was like
RECIP
horrible.
Studios.
For those of you that are unaware with .net, there's a reason.
Yes.
There was a hyphen in there too. So
it was just
precipice-studios.net.
I mean, we knew nothing about marketing, branding, like we like literally just figuring things out.
Yeah.
But that natural progression to doing hospitality projects in Toronto, dabbling in projects in the US, traveling, getting into the design scene. I mean, we probably designed over, if you add them all up, I'm sure we've touched over 100 restaurants and clubs.
In Toronto?
In Toronto.
Yeah.
If we sat down and actually made a list. But 2008, we basically were coming up to our 10-year anniversary, and we had got offered to do one of the feature booths at the Interior Design Show at IDS, 2008. Opportunity to do one of 4 feature booths with Linda Reeves, Brian Gluckstein, Sarah Richardson. So everybody had their own booths. We had ours. Brought in investors, invested in the show, and we thought that was a perfect time to rebrand, basically.
Right.
Wanted to change our name, wanted to reinvent ourselves. That's when I'd say that's the first time when we really started talking about strategy and brand and how to control the narrative. And, we worked with some local agencies on a new website and graphic design and things like that. And so we created this new brand identity. At the time, we launched with the Design Agency, 3 words, 2008. Which was, a powerful move, but I think it really embodied our approach to design too. Like we didn't want to pigeonhole ourselves into a certain, a certain lane in terms of style, and we didn't want it to be necessarily about the 3 of us. We thought about doing the traditional architecture, 3 last name thing. I looked at all the different iterations of that. There was just something really simple, maybe even partially inspired, now that I think about it, by the simplicity of something like wallpaper. Just design agency, just such a beautiful, kind of says what it does.
Yep.
And even, and at that point, I think our mentors, there was definitely, Yabel Pushelberg and George and Glenn throwing their great, what are they called? The parties, that there we
The
were talking
happenings?
about the happenings,
Yeah.
right? Like that they were having. Again, there was just a great design movement in Toronto and in the world, and Design Agency felt great.
Brian Gluckstein was also like for the show itself, for that moment, that pivotal moment. Brian Gluckstein was a huge mentor. He's like, guys, he would walk us through every single step of like, here's what you just signed on for. Here's what you need to do. Here's what
he
the
was
world.
great.
Like that really helped with that.
We're missing a part of the equation where Matt's talking about the show, and the show he's talking about is a show we did for HGTV.
I wasn't talking about that.
No, he wasn't talking
For a
about
hot
that.
moment.
I was talking about the.
I was. Didn't you see me just arch right around that? we'll just cut that out.
Why?
Yeah.
No, I mean we did a stint. We did do a stint in HGTV. It was a really it was an interesting time. We learned a lot from it, but it just wasn't what we do in our practice.
Right.
There were some great learnings though. I mean, before that had happened, we really we'd been working on projects, but this kind of brought us together in a way that was, we were forced to be together working side by side. And that brief stint, I think, was influential in positive ways for how we worked as a group.
Yeah.
But the content of the show really wasn't who we were. So we always look back at it and kind of laugh. Now we're always like,
Yeah, it's one of those running themes in our history. I mean, look, like Matt said, we learned a lot from it. I mean, ultimately, it wasn't what we want our trajectory to be.
Yeah.
It was really focused on residential stuff. And we were heavily invested in the sort of experiential hospitality world
Right.
that we wanted to focus on. And it was also, that kind of stuff, as you probably know, it takes a lot of time on your day. So really focusing on our core business and really pushing, the studio forward.
It sounds to me like actually this thing helped redefine for you what mattered more than
100%.
that's actually the good takeaway from that. Yeah, for sure.
you realize.
It helped us focus.
Yeah, this is not what we want to be doing. We want to be doing this. We should definitely stop doing all of that and focus on the things that we excel at.
And there's a lot of things that we want to focus on. Like it wasn't like Anwar, you touched on it. It wasn't about lanes. Design Agency as a name kind of embodied the wholesome approach we'd like to take looking at design. It's not like we're interior designers. We always thought about things like with a bit of a brand, even like Spa Hub first projects, we did a project called Pais where we did like every single brand touch element from like the
Pais, the restaurant?
Yeah, you remember that place?
On
College Street?
I was on College. Do they have a second location?
No, I don't think so. We actually built that project too. It was design build.
PAAZE?
No, it was PAAZE or something like that.
Oh.
PAAEZE.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something similar.
Anyway, so we did get really involved in like all the brand aspects of it because of the operational background. There's always that layer. So it really felt the name Design Agency felt bigger than just like a single.
It was holistic.
It was a holistic
It was
approach.
holistic, and we were completely immersed in the whole hospitality design scene. Landmark projects. There was Lobby that we didn't mention.
Yeah,
too. Like Lobby on Bloor Street was
a great story from Lobby.
Everybody's got a Lobby story.
Please share.
And you can come on our podcast. Yeah, it usually relates to something like that. So, but I mean, Toronto Film Festival was back up there in the day. Lobby was iconic. Like there's so many kind of signature projects that kind of paved the way for our evolution.
What was Tawfiq's place called? What was that?
Well, Amber, Lobby. I mean, it was.
We did Solange as well, and
that was huge.
That was like
we did 11
design
exercise
as well.
11 nightclubs,
yeah. There was a lot going on back then, but we really from 2008 onwards we were Design Agency, basically, to answer your question.
Yeah,
and that's where we really leaned into growing the company, having a point of view, being contextualist when it comes to, working on projects with our clients. Mm-hmm. We always spoke about, we always pitched ourselves to clients as taking them on a design journey, figuring out what was the best design that was fit for purpose, depending on the location, the brand, the business plan, the budget. Like all these things were important to us. It wasn't just about what does it look like? So that real, holistic approach, I think, is what led from one thing to another. But really still to this day, like almost 30 years later, we're still really getting most of our work off the back of the previous work we did, and referrals and repeat clients and introductions, and just being, again, immersed in travel and in the industry. And a lot of our stuff, I mean, definitely want to segue into some of the more international projects and things that we got into, right?
I like, ask you that.
There's so much of that.
So when as you started to redefine what the business would look like, post the blip of being on HGTV and rebranding the name from Pernicus. I did it on purpose.
Persimmon.
Persimmon Studios.
That was the best move ever. Yeah, glad we changed.
So when you go and you make those changes and you start to think about what you want to achieve for the practice, and you've got staff. I mean, at this point, you've got staff now. So now you're thinking about not just how can we make it through the next 6 months, like how are we going to be able to continue to put food on the table for all these people that are going to be here, families, rent, cars, travel, like whatever, how they need to live. So how do you then go and take all of that and focus on how you're going to be able to acquire these now international projects? Because from an international scale, like Canada has not always been the most prevalent place to be able to go find design. So
It's interesting. Yeah.
how did you set yourselves apart when you're answering those RFPs, or not answering RFPs, but being in the room with those people?
I think this leads into a really interesting moment in our history. We were doing a lot of work locally. At the time, again, just post-show, we had a fairly large office in Liberty Village. We had designed the Liberty Market building and had to put our office in there. We had a staff, I think, probably of 8 people. We were doing clubs and stuff like that and restaurants locally.
That's where I picked up lunch today, by the way. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, is that Liberty? Yeah. So that way we were involved in that early days. But there was a moment we had for a split second decided to try different divisions. So I, having leveraged the blip, was taking over the residential division, and I was going to focus on residential. You guys were going to focus on commercial and going after commercial clients. But then Anwar, you had a moment where you leaned in and you had an opportunity to go on something. We were getting 8 people in the office, a little cash strapped. But you had made that decision to go on that trip, and you were like, you know what? If I go, I think it was New York or where you were going to go. It's like, I'm going to go to this thing for Steve Nash. I'm going to pay for it. But if I get a job while I'm down there, you pay me for the trip. Remember that? What was that?
You mean part of the generator story?
Yeah. But that really,
Josh Wyatt and how, I was trying to answer the question more holistically, in the sense that what were we doing that got us to where?
But I think that's how we got there.
No, I know, absolutely. But I think it was 2 things. I think it was networking.
Yeah.
I think to your question, so what did we do that, because there weren't even RFPs at that point. So I think at least I personally was really leaned into networking. Yeah. So it was who do we know, where are the opportunities, put ourselves in the right place at the right time, and shit's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Right. And the story Matt's talking about is 100% correct. Going down for, a basketball event with somebody I knew, Steve Nash, and meeting somebody at a nightclub at 2:00 in the morning. And then months later, that turns into a huge opportunity in Europe with private equity, creating a hotel brand and going to work in Dublin. And, but even before that, and still to today, that's how we really get a lot of our work. And I think all our landmark kind of signature projects kind of have an origination story, or most of them do, around somebody we knew or somebody we networked with or some referral. So I think we were extremely lucky in that regard with, some great friends from day one with Pablo Doritas at Wallpaper, all the way to, Hutan Rafi at West Bank with, connecting with Soho House and Nick Jones, and getting in touch with, working with Momofuku and David Chang and
the Michael Coopers of the world and all those
people that we cross paths with. So networking, I think, was really, speaking as an entrepreneur, I mean, that was the way to do it. But then also Naomi Chris, Like we were so naive that we thought that people would just call us and give us awards, or we thought that people would call us and want to publish our work in interior design or, whatever magazine or publication we wanted to be in. We didn't realize that there was a whole ecosystem of like hiring photographers and writing copy and entering awards and getting RFPs and getting on lists with hotel companies. And like, we had no clue. So when we actually, decided to hire a communications company and work with somebody like Naomi, that really, I think, opened up the world to us, because then it was like, then we knew as 3 designers, we were like, if we can network and get great projects, and if they're going to photograph well, then we've got a story to tell.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's, for sure all that stuff, but I think to your question about like, what sets us apart from other people. I mean, we always picture ourselves as being very open and, egoless, I guess you can call it, because we like working with the clients. And, we talk about this, taking our clients on this design journey is important for us. And a lot of clients really value that, right? It's not just us saying, hey, it should be like this, or it should be like that. So when you look at our portfolio of work, it's all very different. So, over the years, we built this kind of reputation and trust with our clients that they know when they walk into a room with us, that we understand what they want and we're going to listen to them.
Right.
Which is a huge part of it. I mean, over the years, obviously we've, our name's gotten around and we've been in this game 28, 29 years now. So, a lot of people know us already. But they always understand that when they get in a room with us, they know kind of like our ethos of how we approach design.
Right.
Which I think is, some clients maybe don't like it. Some clients want like a certain look and they'll hire this designer because we want that look.
It's okay. It's not for you.
But it's not us,
Yeah.
right? And if they want something interesting and different and want us to think about it a certain way, then we're here.
And nowadays, when you look at where you're at, the services that you offer are completely different than what you initially offered, right?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's yes and no.
Yes and no.
Yeah, when we started, we had everything kind of under one thought stream. So you hired us, and we did the graphic design, thought about operations, thought about the different elements that went into a restaurant, and designed the restaurant, and then participated in conversations about the music programming and blah 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 blah. It took us forever to figure out that, maybe let's start separating these things and making them all services separately that are not just lumped into the one thing. So we kind of purified design agency now. So we just went through a bit of a refresh to our brand, where we have now design agency, and that focuses primarily on interior design. And we've created recently commercial. Yeah. Thank you. Interior design. But again, within that, there's like strategic thinking, there's master plan, there's all those different elements that make great interior architecture and interior design. But then we parceled out and created Studio DA, which is now our branding and kind of creative services division. And the reason for doing that, pulling it out separately, is because we do a lot of work collaboratively with them, but they also collaborate with other people,
right?
Other designers, other groups.
But that, to me, like that's one of the major changes, because when you described before was when you were going through the redesign of your company and the rebranding of your company, you hired external companies.
That's right. Yeah, we wanted their input. Yeah,
right?
we wanted that creative process for ourselves. We wanted to be the client.
Yeah.
Right.
And you got to learn probably so much about the process of how that worked to 100%. Be able to then take it and implement it for how you want to then create it for clients.
Well, we realized people were they were able to bill us for it. And we had been doing some of that work for free for other people.
We were so excited about projects that we would do whatever they asked us for. Like basically,
or even if they didn't ask, we would just do it.
Just say, hey, we think your logo.
Here's the logo.
This. Maybe you should, change your name to this, or maybe you should think about how you're going to do signage. And we would just do it for them, right? Design their business cards, even do a mock-up website. And then we realized, like Matt said, we're like, we should be getting paid for this.
So I just got to say, as a takeaway for this, if you're listening to this right now and you're a young agency, you're a young practice, you're contemplating getting into the field, you got to know that there's some things that are worth doing for free because it's going to put you on the right path. But once you've then established yourself at doing it, you can charge for it. Your professional service, you can charge for it. It might be hard to do it, but it's worth doing.
Yeah, that was essentially the progression.
Yeah.
Like that was, we also worked with, you mentioned Wink Media early, we've worked with, again, hundreds of branding agencies as well, where they've been on projects. We've been doing interior design. So to your point, we've learned and watched other branding agencies work on projects that we've been involved in.
Mm-hmm.
And we've done some where we're doing branding and interior design.
Right.
So is it really just a natural progression to not even a division? Like we launched Studio DA, the sister company.
That's right.
Last year with, Ben Lesh, who's a managing director, principal at Studio DA, somebody we had worked with at other agencies.
Right.
And, our practice now is so much bigger than the three of us. Like we really, our team and our people are so, just vast in the knowledge and experience and like our culture and the original DNA, like what Alan was just talking about, our approach to design and business, I think still permeates throughout our culture and DNA and to the different teams, whether it's in the US or Barcelona or Toronto.
Which is actually, you're touching on exactly what I was going to ask next.
There you go. So, but it's, so now it's really the people too, right?
Yeah.
Like that we have all these amazing designers with varied backgrounds, and now we have Studio DA on its path, and we're already talking about the next thing, which might be Atelier DA, which we're thinking is going to be, high-end luxury residential design, because we only dabble in that from time to time for high net worth clients. So we're going to
you've already got the clients, you're doing the commercial projects for them and the hospitality projects for them.
Chances are they own a couple of houses or a yacht or,
It's a natural fit.
It's a completely missed opportunity until it starts.
So we're gonna complete that ecosystem, right? So this is all part of our, master plan and strategy as we go.
So what I want to ask you, one, and I'm gonna set it up, and I'll have to try to remember this and try to bookmark it in my head. We'll see. Hopefully, I get too sleepy doing it. But so the first part is, you mentioned before that using the network and going out and you meet someone at 2:00 in the morning at a party, or you're at dinner that goes late, whatever the scenario is. The hardest part for a lot of people is to be able to actually take that initial contact and then utilize the opportunity for your business in the right way that isn't, you're not pushing a sale. You're creating a relationship. And
That's right.
So part of what I was curious to know if you could share is how do you do that without selling it? You finish that night, you say goodbye, you get their contact info or whatever it is. Now, how do you turn that into a relationship that turns into something of actual collaboration and value for both sides?
Yeah, I mean, I think the relationship starts right off the bat, like with anybody that you meet, even if it's the first time, and you just kind of, intuitively, or at least that's how I approach things. Like you're kind of planting a seed, just having great conversation or sharing ideas or conversation around design or business or brand. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the times it sticks. Like in this one scenario that we're talking about, we're talking about a gentleman, Josh Wyatt, somebody we've worked with for almost 20 years, an incredible hospitality,
visionary,
incredible at raising capital, creating brands, knows the hotel industry and the development world better than we ever will. But somebody like that just, called us one day after, meeting and said, hey, I just raised 200 million euro and I'd love to work with you guys. And that's sort of our origination story for Europe, because that was 2007, I believe. And going into 2007, 2008, going to work in Europe. So to getting on a plane and being like, yeah, sure, we'll show up.
This is the next part. So you have projects all over the world now with brands that everyone knows. I won't go into all the brands. You can find all the brands when you go to the liner notes of the show. You'll have, there's a link to Design Agency website. You can check it all out for yourself. You'll see some of it on Instagram. We'll feature some of the projects they want to feature. But beyond that, you have a staff here, and how have you been able to maximize staffing here abroad to be able to manage the portfolio of work? And what's the size of the staff on average now? How many people?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. And it's, we have a great operations team here in Toronto, primarily resourcing manager that works pretty much all the time, just resourcing projects.
Okay.
So we have here in Toronto, we have 2 directors. They have each 2 teams each. We have a team in Barcelona, which has a managing director and a small team there, about 12 people.
About 15 people, yeah.
We have some satellite people around the world. We have some people in UK. We have some people in Denver. We have some people in Montreal.
And we have the office in DC.
An office in DC, which is quite large as well.
With another director there that oversees that.
And so really it's, we work closely with the team to try to help resource projects. It's not always easy.
For sure.
It's a lot of resource sharing across different studios, which, quite frankly, a lot of our clients like, because sometimes they get a chance to work with the people in Barcelona. Of
course.
Get a different perspective on design from a different region of the world, and vice versa, right? So it kind of works out, but it is a full-time juggling act, for sure, resourcing.
I was just going to say that it's just higher level kind of picture, because I was talking a little bit about getting into Europe, and one of our designers went to school in Spain and helped us set up shop over 15 years ago. Rebecca Mason, she was a designer that used to work for us, with us. And that set up Barcelona. And then we started working with Alexandra, who was somebody very influential to us because she knew the US market. And that was about a decade ago, and helped us get into the hospitality world there, and in meeting all the different brands and people. And we went from, kind of DC to LA, back to DC, like setting up studios, working with different directors and different people. So again, very organic in our growth.
And did you interview people for these roles, or these were relationships that you had developed and you just felt like they really aligned and meshed with what you were looking for?
They were relationships.
Yeah.
They were circumstantial relationships. I mean, again, Rebecca Mason was somebody who was...
She worked for us.
She worked for us here, and then went to Spain. I forget what number employee she was, but she was like one of the first, right? Like, one of the pioneers with us. And, from putting her up in a co-work space in Barcelona to then, building out a team and hiring more people, and, and then same thing in the US, just like, riding a train with somebody that we had sort of met and we heard they were amazing, and one thing leads to another. And then you're having a conversation about like, hey, you should join us. We need you. This is gonna be fun. Let's do it.
But, but also unlike our early years, the growth was somewhat, or the growth of our staff and staff size is somewhat organic, but our expansion in different regions is very strategic.
I would imagine.
Again, Barcelona, we opened because we had all that work in Europe through Generator. So we had like 7 or 8 projects on the go at the same time. So we needed boots on the ground.
Yeah. If you didn't, you'd fail at that project.
Yeah,
and that would
for
crush
sure.
your opportunity.
And so like Anwar was saying, Rebecca was there doing her master's degree in interior design. So we asked her if she wanted to, help us work on these projects. And so that happened kind of organically, but very strategically. We decided that we wanted to get more work in the States years ago. We wanted to get more hotel work in the States because that's where all the hotels were being built, and there was a lot of work down there, and seemed like a great climate to head down to the States. And so I think Anwar, you met Alexandra at a conference, right? And so they got to know each other, and then she was looking to make a move. So we hired her. She opened her office in LA, and then she opened her office in DC. DC was strategic as well because, a lot of the hotel brands are located in DC. So we wanted to be close to them. So that's kind of like the evolution of how we opened the studios. And, we're also looking at expanding our footprint in terms of work, not studios right now, but we're looking at the Middle East right now. We're looking at the APAC region, which is Asia Pacific. And so, we're looking at different opportunities. We're looking at Latin America, the whole Cali region, looking at, expanding our footprint into marine design.
Marine design,
boats and cruise ships.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting segment because it's one of those segments that, we think is underserved in terms of design. there are, a few select naval designers that are doing a lot of the work.
I know.
You probably have met some of them. And some interior designers are starting to get into that world. And, we feel
it's a world.
It's a world. And we think we have something to bring to it, which is maybe different than what's happening out there right now. So it's a segment that we're investigating and dipping our toes into. So
I think one of the things we kind of lightly touched on are the people that have helped us on our journey, but I think we'd be remiss to not talk about the fact that we've invested over the 30 years, like going from employees 1, 2, 3 to like having now 125, 130 employees globally. Yes, some of the moves were organic, but we've grown a team structure very much collaboratively by talking to our different designers, working with the team structure, figuring out our processes. We spend a lot of time working with now our leadership groups. So we have 5 principals that work with us. Five principals? Yeah. 5 principals that work with us. And then we have a design director layer and a lot of different leaders that, we've worked with over the years to really kind of help us, or not even help us, collaborate with us to be doing all these great projects at a global level. So it's not about the 3 of us anymore. It is really a big organization here.
You can't know who the best suppliers are and some of the people you got to turn to in Europe versus those that are in LA versus those that are going to be in Marine. You can't know that. You need to be able to hire specialists that are going to be able to feed that information and make it successful for you so you can keep growing the business.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving pieces. I mean, we looked at.
No, I was going to say go. There you go. All right, done. Go for it.
We looked at a lot of like what Matt's saying in terms of building the systems and the teams and these layers. Like that's when, and you mentioned it earlier about mentors and whatnot. Like definitely looking over the past decade or more. How are other companies set up? What are they doing? What do we like about what they're doing? What's working? You hear horror stories, you hear success stories. Like it's really important to talk to people and to learn. And like, sure, we've hired consultants and we've whiteboarded like until the cows come home in terms of like our strategy and our vision and all that, but just listening to people and hearing about their successes or their challenges and their failures, and then kind of building a system that is similar to other studios, but works for us, or we think again,
it's tailor fit towards our team,
towards our team and our ethos around, our teams don't work in silos. We don't believe in having like one team that only designs this thing and then another team that designs that. Like design is holistic and everybody needs to be playing in each different sandbox a little bit. And we share resources globally. Like what a friggin' nightmare. Like you try and resource, across teams to put people on project teams around the world. But like Alan said, you get better inputs. You get all these different designers with different backgrounds, different cultural backgrounds, inputting into different projects, technologists working with FF&E specialists, working with modeling and designers. And, that we're still doing that with 100 plus people. Like we're still cross-pollinating.
As if it was a small team.
Yeah. And our teams probably, not probably, I know they kind of hate us for it because it's like, it can create kind of organized chaos, but we believe in it, right? And made it as a business, it makes us agile. It makes us more creative. We think it has incredible advantages for culture. One of our senior designers from DC right now is doing a stage in Barcelona, working out of our Barcelona office. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
It's opportunity you wouldn't necessarily be able to get. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's still boutique, right? Like this is not, it's not like we're a big global law firm where there's 20 offices and you can just go pack your bags and go, it's boutique. It's specialized. It's like everybody knows everybody's name. So we're trying to hang on to that as well too.
Right. Yeah. There's a quote I might have referenced now. This could be the second time I'm doing it, but there's an architect, European architect. And one of the things that he said was the importance of speed. And that speed is actually advantageous. And that if you go too slow at doing something, you'll run out of time to get it done. Whereas if you go at it with speed, you have the opportunity to be able to go and reflect on it immediately while you're in the middle of it, and then correct it while you're still moving.
You guys hear that? Everyone out there? Yeah.
Speed matters.
Speed matters.
It does.
It's funny that because it's very rare that we think a design is fully baked. Like it's as a designer, you're always like trying to make things better all the time, but you just run out of time.
Of course,
right?
And then it goes out there,
and you're like, shit. Now I got to reflect on it.
Yeah, we should have done these few things. We didn't have time for it.
No, but speed.
That's design. That's design, though, too.
It's something we're talking about a lot in our studio and in our workflow and our process is how do we get better output at a more not only rapid rate, but at a more effective rate.
Yes,
because our clients expect that.
Well,
that's the
world's changing. The world's changing.
Now it's like it's crazy.
The world's changing, but also the world has always been the same. Those that have the wealth to be able to do something of magnitude move at a different pace. And when they're moving at that pace, their expectations are that the people around them are going to do the same.
For sure. Yeah.
And it's hard to be able to get someone that wants to do their very best work to do it in a fast period of time without the fear of doing it wrong. Mm-hmm. And you can get things wrong, but you're going to get it wrong and then you're going to fix it and you're going to eventually get it right. Mm-hmm. And that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
Right. Can I ask, because I realize time, we're going to wrap up literally the next couple of minutes. So I just want to ask, in terms of where you're going, you kind of alluded to it. And one of those thoughts was incredible. Like, I love the idea of marine design because it's just, I know this is such a juvenile term, but it's just like, that's some gangster design stuff. Okay? You get to go design like a yacht. Like, hell yeah, let's go design a yacht. What other elements are you looking at being able to integrate into the portfolio? You touched on some of it. And then, whether this question is appropriate or not, philanthropy, what are you involved with on a philanthropic level?
Yeah, I mean, from in terms of future projects and categories and stuff like that, marine's definitely one. We've been doing a lot of work, really exciting work in the kind of live music, entertainment, stadium venues right now. So we did a couple of histories with Drake, and we're working on a big project out in Regina for Brant, which is going to be this big music mecca. With collaborating with a former originator of the House of Blues. So we're really excited about these kind of scale of projects.
Yeah.
We did a lot of work at Scotiabank Arena, which is, again, just the scale of that is massive. And it's, so there, I mean, as we're playing in like the hospitality sector, doing like the Four Seasons and all these different projects, those projects are also, it's again, like we said, we do a broad range. So it's so exciting to be able to lean into that venue.
Yeah. And something like Scotiabank Arena, like you get a massive different class of people moving through it and experiencing it, and different than what you'd get out of the class that's going to the Four Seasons. So like now you're getting real experiential. I don't even know what the right word is in describing this, but you're getting different people coming through it, and that in itself is something I think pretty unique and special.
Yeah, I mean, designing for the end user, designing for the guest is, I mean, that's what we do, right? Like that's what it's all about. Is the user experience.
Yeah.
But these projects are getting more complex. I mean, the fun thing is we still do small projects and we have very big complex projects that take years to do. And there's all these new market segments that that people talk about or that we kind of explore, whether it's marine or wellness. Longevity is a big thing that's everybody's talking about what the new luxury is. Every designer has a, kind of expression around what luxury can be in the future. Every brand's kind of hunting for it. Following trends, making trends, all of that is, super relevant. We still, we're known very much for hospitality design. And, when we talk about like sports and entertainment and live music, like there's certain industries that are in the life cycle at different places. Like, so that industry is getting into experiential design and hospitality design because that's the way, where the business is going, what the end user wants, where the money leads to, where the experience leads to. So a lot of opportunities I think are coming to us because we do specialize in hospitality design. Mm-hmm. And, it's time to kind of marry that or merge that with some of these other more complex projects.
Right.
You know, I'm personally excited about some of the resort work we're doing. That's kind of new to us too. You know, we've got, if I look forward, you know, probably in the next 12 months, we've got a really cool resort in Portugal opening up on the ocean. We have a resort in the Bahamas with Montage opening. We have Four Seasons in Costa Rica that we're working on some redesign with them. So, you know, those kind of destinations that really, you know, I think more and more people are looking to explore and trying to find really cool design brands that are out there. I mean, that's super interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, you know, for me, finding properties and projects that are unique and interesting and not your usual run-of-the-mill building and client is always exciting. We just finished a project in Vienna for this Anatar hotel. And now we're doing a project for the same brand in Slovenia on the coast, on the Istrian coast. Really great, like cool properties with a history to it. That kind of stuff really excites me because we get to dive into like the history of the property and, you know, create something new from it. So that's always great.
I can hear the architect talking.
Yeah. But that's, you know, that's exciting. But, you know, it's also, we're working so much in the business now and really the business of design and how we, you know, roll that out with our staff and, you know, how we create a succession plan for our staff and what that means, what that looks like. And so we spend a lot of time with our staff trying, you know, workshopping with them. We have a executive retreat every 2 years, and this year is one of the years for it. So, you know, we'll go with them and workshop and brainstorm ideas about the company and what the future is and, you know, where we're going. Mm-hmm. So all those things, I think, we have to focus on as well, because without our people and, you know, without their buy-in, you know, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, of course.
So we're focused on that a lot these days as well. So something we'll continue to do.
Okay. And what about on the philanthropic end? Like, what are you doing there, and how are you engaging with anyone in that space? What does that look like?
I think for Design Agency, what it looks like is our investment in our people and in the kind of the schools of design around the world. You know, we a couple of years ago started a scholarship here at TMU.
Yeah.
I just got stuck on the last name. That's
okay. It's still Ryerson in my mind.
Yeah. And then we're also doing projects with U of T where we've got the DRIP program where we're bringing in students to work in internships. And I think some of us have some individual mentorship programs that we're collaborating with different groups on. So
it's great.
I mean, and then there's, as you mentioned, it's the internal mentorship and being part of the teams. We're still very active in all the projects and try to get it, you know, around to as many people in the studio as possible. Yeah. But
it's all about time.
It's all about time.
I mean, time. Yeah, you're not getting more of it. So how much can you give up, right? Yep. Gentlemen, I got to say thank you collectively to each one of you. You know, Alan, Anwar, Matt, thank you so much for taking time to do this. Long format is great and covered so much. And I'm pretty sure that you three of you are going to walk away from today being like, I didn't know that.
I learned a ton. Yeah.
We need 2 more hours. We haven't even told you half of it.
Yeah. I mean, we scratched the surface.
You want to do it again? We can set it up again. Yeah. Okay. We can do a part 2. No problem.
Sounds great. Thanks, Jonathan.
But thanks for taking the time to do it. Because as we just said, you know, time, we don't get more of it. So
our pleasure. Thank you.
Our pleasure. Thank you.